The infamous serial killer Ted Bundy once told a journalist that when violent thoughts start at a young age, that child is headed down the wrong path. The attacker was a 14-year-old teen. He had moved in with his aunt, Yulia Nevgodovska, and her 4-year-old son, Mikhail, a year before the incident because he had a tense relationship with his mother. The horrific events unfolded after Yulia entered his bedroom and noticed scratches on the wooden floor. She speculated the deep scratches were caused by a knife. When she asked him where the scratches came from, he did not reply and exited the room. Several minutes later, Yulia said she found the boy standing in the kitchen with his head hooded and arms folded. He rushed towards her and struck her several times with a knife. A bleeding Yulia fled the house trying to lead the teen away from her young son, who had witnessed the attack. She was successful in their strategy for a while, as he had followed her out in the courtyard. She managed to use her mobile phone and called for help, which angered the teen even more. The person on the other end of the line was the teen's mother, who rushed to Yulia's house calling emergency services on her way. Shortly after the phone call, he began to strike her in the chest and back with his weapon. In the video, an attacker is seen chasing Yulia across the courtyard of her house and striking her with a cleaver and a kitchen knife. After she fell onto the ground, he went back to the house and attacked her son. Hearing her child's screams, Yulia managed to get to her feet and hurried to his rescue. The footage further shows her and Mikhail escaping the house while being followed by the attacker. In a bizarre turn of events, the teen licked the knife and said, "It tastes good. Your blood is all over me. Welcome to my world. Now I know why maniacs drink blood." He ran away from the scene as soon as his mom showed up. Yulia and Mikhail were rushed to the hospital on the verge of death, and fortunately, medics managed to save their lives. Police launched a criminal case for attempted murder against the teen. He reportedly confessed to detectives, claiming he was driven to the actions by constant domestic abuse. This was, however, not proven to be true. A few months later, a similar incident occurred on the other side of the world. An even more gruesome attack took place in the neighborhood of Esperança in the northern region of Brazil. A 14-year-old girl who quote-unquote worshipped death was arrested for stabbing her 10-year-old cousin and later murdering her aunt before calmly heading out to get ice cream. The teenager had reportedly been sleeping at her aunt's house, Maria Antonieta de Silva, for a few days because her mother was away. The crime was premeditated and occurred at around 6 p.m. as the teen was calmly watching TV with her 10-year-old cousin. She tried to sedate him with a cloth soaked in alcohol on his face, but was unsuccessful, and so she attacked him with a knife. She struck him in the neck before tying him up and locking him up in the room. She then made her way to the kitchen to get a frying pan and a bigger knife, as the knife she had used earlier on had broken during the fight with her cousin. She then proceeded to her aunt's bedroom. Her aunt, laying on her stomach and not able to see the door as the teen entered, was at a disadvantage. She lunged at her aunt with a frying pan, striking her over the head several times and then attacking her with a knife, which resulted in a physical fight. From the bedroom, they continued to fight in the living room and went to the kitchen, where they stayed around the table, throwing chairs. With the floor covered in blood, Maria slipped and the niece took a pressure cooker and struck Maria's head over the head several times, leaving multiple dents, before continuing with the knife that even broke the tip with so many blows. After the knife stuck in Maria's back, she took a shower on site, locked the house and went out to get ice cream. She left a diary containing a blood-stained note at the crime scene that read, quote-unquote, "I was here," with a heart drawn under it. The diary allegedly indicates the teen had been planning the murder of her aunt. She later turned herself in at the police headquarters. When questioned as to what motivated her to commit the crime, her response was that she did not like her aunt because she would not let her go out, and this is despite the fact that people thought that they had a good relationship. She spoke with calmness. She said there was no preparation. When asked about the diary that was found, she said it was because she worships death, that she likes it, but investigators believe the murder was premeditated. She further asserted that she did not want to harm her cousin and was forced to because he would not allow himself to be locked up, and so she attacked him before tying him up with a belt and locking him up in the room. She told investigators that she had no regrets and that she would do it all again. Maria had been suffering from dengue fever at the time of her death, which might have made it easier for the 14-year-old girl to kill her. Most murders by young children aren't planned. Instead, they are born out of anger, frustration, or interpersonal conflict. Humiliation and frustration can generate thoughts of violence in children that form enduring fantasies, setting up later actions. Dennis P.T. Kireda also envisioned targeting girls when he was young, in part because he disliked the feeling of inadequacy he experienced around them. Imagining capturing them in traps or tying them in trucks to restore his sense of power. By 7th grade, he said, quote-unquote, "I had fantasies of tying popular girls on railroad tracks." He sought to replicate the satisfaction gained from his fantasies during his murders. Murder starts to become prominent in statistics at 13 and 14. At 15, it is almost as high as the rate for all ages. From 15 on, the homicide rate continues to rise sharply each year during adolescence. Most child cases fall into one of 4 categories. A child kills a relative, usually a parent or a close family member. On July 16, 2011, Tyler Hadley killed his parents so he could throw a house party. Shortly before 5 p.m. on the evening of the murder, Tyler took 2 pills of and then stood behind his mother, Mary Jo. They stared at each other for a brief moment before he beat his mother unconscious. Following the assault of his mother, he then began to stab her with a kitchen knife, eventually killing her. Having heard Mary Jo's screams, his father Blake emerged from their bedroom and saw Tyler standing over Mary Jo's lifeless body on the floor. Blake rushed to call 911. However, before reaching the telephone, Tyler stabbed and killed him. He then spent the following 3 hours cleaning up the blood before throwing a house party. Sometime after the murders, Tyler made a Facebook post that he was having a party at night. He then stopped at an ATM and picked up some of his friends. About 60 people gathered at the party, playing beer pong, smoking cigars and drinking. That night, Tyler told his best friend Michael that he had bludgeoned his parents with a hammer. He showed Michael the master bedroom and the blood that was in the room. After processing what had happened, Michael took a picture of Tyler thinking that he was never going to see him again. News of the crime was then spread by word of mouth. Tyler was arrested early the next morning. A child grabs an object and kills a peer during a moment of anger. On the 23rd of April 2020, the mom took her daughter to her grandparents' house, leaving the boy sleeping in the house. When the oldest brother woke up, he began playing on his mobile phone, but lost his temper after losing a round. He began hitting furniture and turning everything upside down in the house before breaking his phone. The younger brother woke up from the noise and hid from his brother in the kitchen. The teenager was afraid his younger brother would tell everyone what happened in the house, and in a fit of anger, he allegedly took a knife and stabbed the 7-year-old 15 times. The victim died at the scene. When the mother returned home, she did not believe the teenager's story and called the police. During the interrogation, the boy reportedly confessed to the killing, saying that he was afraid his friends would stop talking to him after he lost an easy round in the game and that he killed his brother as he was scared he would tell the mother about ruining the furniture. A young teen or group of teens shoot an adult stranger during a robbery or break-in. Dion Timms Williams was just 16 when she helped torture a dad of two, Dr. Gary Jenkins, to death as he begged her to stop. In a 15-minute audio clip, Dr. Jenkins could be heard as he was cruelly beaten, robbed, tortured, and left for dead. Timms Williams could be heard yelling quote-unquote, "Money, now," before a slew of homophobic insults were directed at the dad of two. A passerby attempted to intervene but was assaulted. Bystander Luce Williams, who bravely fought back to stop the attack, described the girl as evil and sadistic. Dion Timms Williams was seen grinning as her mugshot was taken by police. A group of teens attack a lone victim or group of victims as part of an ongoing conflict. Ayub Majdulin was accused of being one of 5 men who had driven around looking for a rival gang member to attack when Jaden Moody was killed. Jaden was out drug dealing for the Beaumont gang when he was killed on the evening of 8 January 2019. The attack in Leyton, East London was captured on CCTV. Footage played in court showed Jaden being knocked off his moped by a stolen Mercedes before he is seen lying defenseless in the road. He was then stabbed by a group of people before the Mercedes drove off. Jaden suffered 9 stab wounds and bled to death on the road as the car sped away.